Emotions. They say emotion is energy in motion in your body. The average person experiences over 400 emotions in a day. That is a lot of energy flowing around your body. And some of these energies are either positive or negative. And some of them can help you move your life forward or keep you stagnant in anxiety. How then do you master these energies? How do you master this energy in motions in your body? How do you master this emotion? How do you use it to move your life forward, to achieve your goals, and to find inner peace and overcome obstacle? Today, I and Rhonda Parker is going to be discussing with you on just that. Today, we're going to be talking about master your emotion, overcoming internal battles, and finding true peace. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Proverbial Mind Podcast. This is your host again, Samuel Oladeji, and here with me is Rhonda Parker Taylor. As we had said, today we are going to be talking to you about master your emotions. If you are here for the first time, do not hesitate to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to like the video, hit the notification button so that you can be notified whenever we post more content, and share our channels and leave a comment down below on how we are doing. Let's get into it. All right, Rwanda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, wonderful. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing awesome myself. Could you give us a brief introduction about yourself and what you do?
Oh, I would love to. So, I'm a native U.S. citizen from Indiana, which is right, for those that don't know their geography well, that's right in the middle of the city. I'm about 3 hours from Chicago south. Right now, we're recording in the wintertime, and we got snow last night. So, it's cold and right now, but we have 4 seasons. As far as myself, I'm a life learner. I've got a bachelor's, master's, and a doctorate in business. And one of my major areas of expertise is emotional intelligence. And a lot of people are like, well, what is emotional intelligence and why would you even worry about it? Well, when I started college, I read Daniel Goleman's seminal book on emotional intelligence, and I became enthralled with the idea that it's not just IQ that makes you successful,
Right.
your EQ also. So you have your left brain functions basically and your right brain functions. Your IQ is your logic, your reading, your math. Your EQ is your intrapersonal skills, your stress management, and your general mood. Those are the things that actually help you move yourself forward in success. Your opening was perfect because it shows why it's so important. 400 different types of emotions a day. That's not a roller coaster. That's a storm if you don't control it
Right.
and manage it right. So, you know, what we need to think about is, how are our emotions preventing us or helping us move forward and not stay stuck in our lives? I can give you a perfect example. When I was writing and I had found a novel, I was a college professor and I wrote a fiction novel, and I finally found a publisher, and that's a long drawn out process. You send query letters, you do all these things, and after 2 years of working with them, they pulled the contract.
What's wrong with the internet?
Paralyzed. And so I didn't do anything for a year or two with my novel, because I was like, now what do? That emotion took a hold of me and stopped me in my tracks.
mm,
until one day my accountability partner, which happened to be my big sister, said, "Why aren't you doing anything with these?" And I said, "Well, because I have this or I have that going on, and I have this client and I have that client." And she said, "That's not it. You're fearful of being vulnerable." And I was like, "Oh, of course, sisters don't know anything, right?"
mhm.
So I'm like, "No, you don't know what you're talking about." But guess what? She
All right.
unstuck those emotions. She made me be more self aware of what was stopping me. And then within, a few weeks, months, however quickly I found, a new publisher, I was right back on that horse. I got up, and as Proverbs says, when the righteous fall 7 times, they get up the eighth, right?
Right. Right.
I had to get up and do it because I had allowed my emotions to stop me.
Yep. Mm. You mentioned something powerful about fear. I noticed that fear is one of the major drivers of emotions, and
Mm.
that is it has a way of keeping you stuck. And what is fear? Why does fear actually hold humans like that? Is the expectation of an imagined reality that is not yet in practical experience. So your mind is creating an illusion of something that you believe could potentially happen, or something that you think might happen, whereas there is no factual proof to that other than it's just your imagination, and it's just all your thoughts making all that up. And that leads you, it triggers some kind of negative emotion inside you, and that all translates into fear, anxiety, and it just compresses you down there. So how do we battle fear?
Well, the first thing is be aware of how emotions are for you. Everybody's a little bit different. This is the first part of emotional intelligence. It's intrapersonal skills. And there's a scale on it. Are you self aware of what your triggers are? Are you self-aware of why you react to certain things the way you do? Are you aware of your own biases? We say we're not biased at all, but
That's not
guess
true.
what? We all have biases. I'm going to give you an example. When I was a child, I had some kind of reaction that ended sending me to the hospital.
Mm,
They assumed it was peanuts. Everybody told me all my life, never be around peanuts. You'll be deathly ill. You'll be deathly ill. One day I accidentally ate a peanut. Nothing happened.
mm,
So then I had to go then I'm like playing around. Well, maybe it's only one form of peanuts because there's several kinds. And
right,
I know, well, which peanut am I allowed to eat? Because it's one of the best foods you can eat, right?
right.
So I went to a doctor and told them, and they tested me, and I had no peanut allergies.
Mm,
That was not what sent me to the hospital. But guess what? My bias from my lived experience and that of what people taught around me, because I was the youngest girl of my family, a fairly large family,
right,
everybody fearful of me ever being around a peanut.
right.
So my bias was against peanuts all my life. Now my body reacts every time I'm trying to introduce them in my life. When I put one in my mouth, I start sweating. I can't stand, I have a food aversion reaction where I want to just spit it out
Mm,
because my mind and my fear and my emotions and my biases have already told me you will be ill if you eat this peanut. So we get these biases in our lives and we say we don't have biases. But biases, good, bad, ugly, wonderful, whatever you might want to think of them, makes you have a reaction that triggers emotions. And those emotions can stop you in your tracks from moving forward. So then we have to have self regard to explore our emotions. our triggers, our biases, our thoughts, our lived experiences. And then once we have explored them and realized which ones are factual and which ones are, like you
Illusion.
said, made up in our mind,
Yep.
we can start sharing that information and having helping behaviors to others.
Mm.
Only when you get to that helping behavior do you have self actualization. Self actualization is when you're at the pinnacle of your feelings about self. But you have to get to that helping behavior. You can't help others until you've helped yourself.
Right. That is a very powerful point on how your experience was what actually created the phobia for peanut. It wasn't actually that you had a health diagnostic or some health underlying issues that made you allergic to peanut. It was your mind because there were some informations that has been stored in your subconscious mind, and as a result of that, it made you believe that whenever you eat peanut, it's going to affect you. Now, the peanut itself has no problem, actually has zero effect on you. It's just what you've made yourself believe. And that is the law of focus, the law of belief, and the law of correspondence in the seven laws of the mind. The law of correspondence says, which ties so well with the bias aspect you talked about, that the outer experience you have, the way you perceive your outside world, is as a result of your internal stored data and internal stored informations. For example, if I see somebody, like they say, first impression matters a lot. If I see somebody and the way they act, I might call them a certain person. Whereas if someone else see that same person, they call them a certain other person, totally different from what I call them. Why did I jump to that conclusion? It is based on my experience. It's based on the data that I've stored in my head, that I've now rewired my brain to interpret certain informations in a certain way in alignment with what I've experienced. And that is why sometimes it's always very, very important, like Rhonda said, to be very aware of the things you think, the things you see, and the way you understand things and perceive things. Because things might not be what you think they are. You just perceive them that way based on your experience. So self awareness, being present and mindful, is a very, very key thing to master your emotion and master fear.
Oh, you're so right. And then what happens after that? What happens if you don't master the fear? What happens if you stay in the bias? What happens if you stay with the stereotypes? We start trying to pick people that are like us, that think like us, stay around us. So our decision making becomes clouded. In Proverbs, it says on 27:17, as iron sharpens iron,
Right.
so one person sharpens another. So we go around looking for cookie cutters of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
At Christmas time or at a holiday when you're making cookies and you want to make the cute little shapes for your loved ones, and you want the hearts and the stars of the Christmas tree, whatever it is, the Santa Claus, and you're cutting the cookies. You take a mold and you mold them exactly the way you want those cookies to be shaped. So guess what? Parents mold their children. Then we have another lived experience. In my case, it was peanuts. Everybody knew I was allergic to peanuts, so I wasn't supposed to eat peanuts. I wasn't supposed to be around the oil. I wasn't supposed to experience, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So here I have been sharpened and ironed and thought out. Now, that sounds very simplistic, but that's everything we think. It can
Right.
be our religion, it can be our way of life, it
Right.
can be our way we dress, it can be the way we approach society, the way we approach our neighbors. Someone that lives in the city is going to have a total different safety plan for their home than someone that lived in the country. When I grew up, my dad left the keys in the car in the driveway with the doors unlocked, right? Why did he do that? the stereotype, the bias. Nothing is going to happen. We are in a safe community. I can leave the keys in the car and
Right.
the door unlocked. Now go to the city in the same time period, the same day, and you talk to another family where there's, more people, more things going on, a faster culture. What are they going to say? Make sure you lock all doors when you come in and come out.
Right.
So our stereotypes, our thoughts are ironed out by others, and then our experiences. And if we don't evaluate it, which is the first step to understanding your own emotions,
Right.
you're not going to get anywhere other than
Mm.
where you are today.
That is powerful. And that brings me down to the idea of how then do you shape your experiences? Because
Mm.
the reality of life is that we cannot prevent ourselves from handling certain experiences. Storms will always come. Challenges will always come. Experiences will always come. You will go through some stuffs in life. You will go through situations in life, some that are pleasing, some that are not pleasing. The Bible says that God only chastises the ones that He loves. You will go through problems in life, but then how do you take your mind away from the negative aspect of that problem to the positive aspect? Because the Bible makes us understand that problems don't come, storms don't come to destroy us. They only come to build us. The Bible says, God says in His Word that He doesn't give to us more than He knows that we can handle. So, how then can we take our mind from pessimism to optimism? That is the question that you should ask yourself. Because everything that looks like a negative situation that's going to destroy you has a positive aspect to it. But if you only dwell in the pessimism aspect, that is what generates fear and then it's going to keep you stuck.
Exactly. And think of it kind of like this. Everybody out there, close your eyes. Think of an ocean. Think of how it has different um, speeds of the rhythm of the waves, and some are harder and some are softer, but then realize that there's a seaman out there. And what they always tell seamen when they're out there, smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. Now put yourself on that boat in the worst waves that there are. When you're out there and you're doing, you're sailing, or whether you're on a, even a speedboat or a cruise line, and they hit those waters. Guess what's happening at the bottom of the sea? Sea glass, all the glass that we've not properly disposed, that's at the bottom at the sea, getting smoothed over. All the things that we shaped it to in the past. And if you've ever seen sea glass, it's beautiful. It's like blue, green, red, diamonds that's been shivered up into stone, that's smooth and glossy. So we ourselves, as we're sailing and we're getting beat around in those life experiences, we got to realize, pause. Yes, there's a storm right now. Skillfully get through the storm and realize that we are the energy of the storm.
Right.
Think about it. When you get into a bad situation, an unknown uncertainty, whatever the life has sent you, maybe it's, feels like it's scarring you up. What you're doing is you need to pause. Let the sea feel and smooth you out to be able to be put back up on the beach. But if our emotions get revved up, what we're doing in that storm is, guess what? We're making the storm bigger. We're
Right.
reacting to people negatively. We're making decisions based on that negative emotion that we're feeling at the time.
Mhm.
Pause. Have some social responsibility and self-regard for self, so that you have the best outcome during that storm. If you ask the question just for a moment, does it last forever? No,
Mm.
that's not the way life is. Life isn't that you'll be under stress 24/7, 7 days a week, your whole life. There's a lesson that we can learn. We can adapt our approach to life based on it, and we can recall and do reality tests. I can give you an example. I love giving examples, not because I've lived any better or worse life than anybody else, but I've lived a life. I'm old, I'm seasoned. You can see a little gray coming in. I need to get a little color in it. And what I've found is when you pause and realize that those worst life moments, and mine was a knock at a door on after a Saturday night.
Mm.
It was the morning after.
Mm.
I opened it up and it was the police.
Mm.
I'd been home all night. They weren't looking, it wasn't anything to do with me, you would think, right?
Right.
The news that they carried was my son, who had worked the night before. He was a bouncer at a bar, had been shot and killed.
Mm.
In that instant, the emotions are going everywhere. I knew my life would never be the same again. And I saw where my house had been settling, a small crack. And when your house settles, you get these little cracks. You smash
Right.
them. And never seen this small crack before. And I followed it all the way up to the top. And I heard the still small voice, and it was in my mother's voice, saying, "Everything's going to be okay. Just one more time." And I closed the door from the police officer, and I looked up at the ceiling, and I knew my life had changed forever. But I had a choice on my reaction to that news, to that drama, to that trauma, to that, life-changing, shattering moment. My heart is now glass at the bottom of the sea.
Mm.
It's like taking a old-fashioned Coke bottle and cracking it against the wall, and all those pieces of glass everywhere. And then I told myself, you have to get moving. And I became childlike. And I tell this story so that you realize that, one, you have to adapt. The news adapted my whole life, but my mindset had to shift. I had to come and become that piece of glass at the bottom of the ocean. The sea had just started picking up for the storm. And in that, my child within me said, put one foot in front of the other. And I knew calls needed to be made. I needed to talk to people. I
Right.
needed to allow people to help me stand. And in that moment, I began problem solving.
Mm.
That everything was going to be all right. Now, there's many ways of looking at trauma. It took me years to get back to a full functioning individual that felt lively. But
Right.
I knew that there was joy in small moments through that emotional, intelligent model of pause, scan the room, don't have biases. You've got a long way to go. You
Mhm.
still have things you have to deal with. Empathy for other people that are going through the same grief cycle, that are going through the same different, and understanding that they're going through things too. Same thing in the business world. You're out there and you think that what's going on in the office is the only thing. You don't know what's going on in
Right.
someone's home.
Right.
Empathy becomes part of the model of emotional success
Mm.
by understanding somebody else's shoes. And when you can do that, then you can start managing the stress of the emotions, the fear, the polarizations that happen with tension, the ability to just get stuck because of the emotions, whatever the reaction to the emotion, requires stress management. That means your stress tolerance has to be good. That means your impulse control has to be good. All
Right.
of those things are there together.
That is a very powerful experience that you had. I can imagine being at the home and seeing a cop. What do you usually identify cops for? Usually is when he commit a crime or danger and everything. So at that moment, there are probably a lot of emotions going through your mind. You're wondering what happened. But you know you were home, like you said, you did nothing wrong. But only to hear that your son, got shot. That is a I've never experienced that before, but I've seen people who have had the same experience, and I can sometimes tell how that can feel. But I believe that was the voice of the Lord that spoke to you in that room that day when you look at the cracks and go up. And I'm glad today that you're overcome that. And this shows you too on the other side of the screen that no matter what may be going on in your life, within you is the ability to overcome it. God said that He doesn't send to you a battle or a storm that is more than you can overcome. When the storm comes, it's like telling you, go girl, go my son. I know you got this. You can do it. You just gotta let it out. It's within you. They might not be pleasant. They might not be fun. They might be heartwarming, they might be heartbreaking, they might be catastrophic, they might seem like the end of your life. But remember that the Bible says, as long as the sun rise and set, the law of seed time and harvest will always prevail. As long as the sun rise and set, the law of seed time and harvest will always prevail. There's the time for joy, there's the time for tears. It's all in the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. There's a time to rejoice, there's a time to mourn. In life, there are different times and there are different seasons. But if you look at a tree in the winter, you will never know that that tree has the ability to be blossom in the summer. If you just base all your experience and all your understanding based on looking at the tree in the winter, you would think that is all that is to be to that tree, a scanty, ugly looking masquerade type shape. But when you come in the summer or in the fall season, you will see such a beautiful, magnificent beauty of nature. Never ever judge a season by all that it looks like. Always remember that at the appearance of every storm, of every situation, there is always a fall tree that is colorful, beautiful, and full of branches. But the only way you can live to see that fall is to regulate your mind, is to understand that what can't kill you is only there to build you and to shape you. The only thing that will allow you to go to the other side then is to understand that, to stay grounded in your faith in God, and to understand that you have the ability to overcome this. Remember the word of God in the book of Isaiah, chapter 41, verses 10. It says, do not be afraid, do not be dismayed. I will help you. I'll uphold you with my righteous right hand. This was the word of the Lord to the people of Israel when they were in distress. He also continues to say towards the part of verse 17 to 20, it says, I will make river flow off of a dry ground and will make pools of water in the desert. That is to show you the magnificent wonder working power of God to transform your life. God is the one that runs the universe. And if you believe in it, you know that He can for sure bring you out of any storm. Imagine how dry a desert is. Imagine how full of sand. You would never ever imagine that there will be a pool that can come out of this desert. But yet there have been people traveling down the desert. An example was the slave of Sarah, the wife of Abraham. When she was traveling with Ishmael in the desert and she had no water, the Holy Spirit made room of water for her to drink with her son in that desert. There is always a way out. All you got to think about is to clear your mind. Don't let the fear come to you. Don't let it challenge you like that is the end of life. It's not the end of life. because God is still on the throne, and everything that comes your way is meant to build you. So, how do you stay grounded in your peace? Remember the word of the Lord in the book of Ephesians, chapter 3, verses 20. It says, "Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly more than you can ever ask or think about, according to his power in you." Faith is what keeps you grounded, is what
Isn't that
gives you that
hope?
peace.
Isn't that hopeful? And then you're in the whole time I was thinking of three key words: hope, resilience,
Yes.
renewal.
Right,
And, there's an African proverb that I just love: no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. And I'm in the
right,
winter right now and I'm praying for the spring, right? It's
right,
cold out, it's freezing, it's
right,
negative and below right now.
right.
And I can't wait till the spring. Well, that's how we are.
Mhm.
When D'Angelo passed, I was in the winter.
Mhm.
You know, it wasn't the winter outside, it was the winter in my soul.
Inside. Right.
So I had to find steps and action. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Resilience and renewal is action. It requires an activity to
Right.
occur for you to be able to build upon
Right.
what just happened. For me, it didn't matter when. I could have been perfectly fine that day. Get in the car, all of a sudden I just start bawling.
Right.
I'd feel the pain. Wouldn't have anything scheduled for renewal, for resilience at the time. I'm going somewhere. It might have been the grocery store, it might have been an appointment. But I then had to seek out something that would help me build and take an action. And it didn't, you know what? A lot of times it could have been a mental health facility. It could have been some kind of 12-step program. It could have been, a church. And, most of the time didn't have membership. Then I started finding out all the ones that were open on certain days. So, this church is open on Monday. This place has meetings on Tuesdays. This place has,
Right.
and I would pull in there, and I had people laying hands on me. I had oil put on my head. I'd be down on my knees praying. It didn't matter
Right.
what it was. The activity was the same. It was that self reflection to get me to a place of acceptance for the day that yes, my life had changed, but now I'm the sea glass. And in those sea glass, the gem cannot be polished without friction.
Right.
That tension is there, nor man be perfect without trials. And I'd have to tell myself, what am I doing, to put gas back in my tank?
Right.
Give me energy to survive. I'm still alive. It didn't matter whether it was during trials, if it didn't matter whether I had a business meeting. I had a new understanding and strength in me. And my number one goal was to honor him,
Mhm.
love him,
Right.
and survive.
Right.
That meant not staying in bed, putting the blankets over the head. So, all of you out there listening right now that are going through some kind of trial, it doesn't have to be as traumatic. It could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be a relationship struggling, it can be any trial. Start polishing and realizing that your first step is care of self.
Mm.
I have started a new imagery for myself when I'm cooking, when I'm chopping up vegetables, or I buy all these fruits and vegetables, and sometimes they wouldn't get eaten because I didn't like the prep work.
Right.
And I had to change my mindset. I love vegetables, I love fruit.
Mhm.
So as I'm chopping and I'm cleaning, I start visualizing
Mm.
what these wonderful fruits and vegetables are going to do for my body.
Mm.
I what I was doing prior to that, as I was looking at this is just more work. But now I look at it as this is providing love to myself.
Right. Mindfulness.
Mindfulness. And when you do that, the growth of healing starts taking over because your body, your mind, your soul, your emotions can't improve if you're eating just McDonald's all your life. You have to have some kind of nutritional value. You have to have water. You have to have
Mhm.
growth mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You have to hit all your 13 dimensions.
Right. I really love this conversation. This is great. I hope that someone out there listening to this is blessed, is transformed, and is renewed, and has found hope again, and has found the strength to keep going, because this is what this is all about. Iron sharpened iron. Remember, you ask God to bring the rain. Don't be ready to deal with the mods. Diamonds are only built under immense pressure. You are a diamond and you're going through your process of refinement, of building, of shaping. But don't be despair. There is a diamond coming out at the other side. Just stay patient, stay the course, and never hesitate to go on your knees to pray whenever you feel crumbled with life. And this is it, guys, on Master Your Emotions. What are the key things we talked about? Identifying yourself, identifying your bias, identifying your preconceived notions, identifying the experience you have, staying aware of those things and understanding the effect they have in your life, and then finding a way out into reshaping those experiences by staying close to reality, reading the Word of God, and understanding that what you're facing does not define you, does not doom the end of your life. It's only taking you into a greater, glorious future. If you could just pause, reflect, and then respond. Practice mindfulness in the process. Practice hope, be resilient, and take good care of yourself. Your healing starts from within. What you're feeding your mind, what you're allowing yourself to believe, what you're seeing, and most importantly, the circle you hang around with. Choose wisely. And I hope that this bless you and this helps you out whatever you're going through and helps you to generate that inner peace and overcome whatever it is that you may be going through right now. What is the last word you have for us today, Rwanda?
My last word for everybody out there: make every day the best day you can make it. Understand that intentionality is what shifts your perspective. Look for three things you can be grateful every day for. It could be a skyline, it could be a bird, it could be something that just made your heart soar for a second. Look for those things so that you can transform your perspectives and control those emotions.
Awesome. Awesome. It's so great to have you here today. So that is it, guys. If you're an entrepreneur out there or you're working on a business or whatever it is that you're doing and you're struggling with maybe achieving growth or achieving, profitability or breakthrough, we have a partner who was once a guest here on the show and is passionate about helping individuals like yourself to move your business and your company forward. So together with this video will be a link that helps you access this affiliate link that we have brought forth to you. So take advantage of it. And if you're here again for the first time, or if you've been coming back and you're not subscribed yet, I don't know what you're looking for, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please hit that notification button, hit the subscribe button, and like our videos and share it. Our goal is to transform millions of lives and help as many people out there. And we can't do it without you because the more you like our video, the more you watch to the end, not click through, but actually watch to the end, let YouTube know that the people loves our content. And as a result, they continue to promote it to more and more people. So ensure that you watch this video. And Rohanda has a book called Crossroads. If you're also interested in reading that book, you could also check it out. And we might help you get a link for that to put in a comment too. But use all that. And if you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us as proverbialminds@gmail.com. And you can follow us on Instagram too and listen to this recording on Apple Podcast. If that is the preferable place you want, you can find it there and listen to it. Until the next one, peace. Peace out, guys, and stay blessed.